Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast. Today we've got Rohit Srivastava. He's a chief investment officer and portfolio manager with C3 Fund to give us an update on his AI-based algorithm, technical analysis, predictive analytics, to talk about what the cannabis industry is doing now and what it might do, especially with elections coming up. Rohit, thanks for being back on the podcast.
Thanks, Josh, for having me. First, let's go over the disclosure that this is all for entertainment. This is all for learning. We're not doing anything. We're not suggesting anything. You guys do your own analysis and own review. And having said that, we have been talking about our cannabis index for more than a year now, and this is when we did the first time we did that, and over a period of years, over a period of last 1 year, we have been tracking a cannabis index, which is like a Wix index and tells an idea about where does the market lie. So this is where we left last time, around hovering between 535 and 475, and this just gives a value where does the overall market lies. And it is still doing the back and forth between 535 and 475, and this week it is still doing that. So there is not a lot of movement happening at this point, and I would say that I think since we are going into the election, there is a lot of decision making that has to happen. So I think it's just in a hold period at this point. From the cash flow perspective, we saw a huge dip last time, that there was a huge dip, and this last 2-3 weeks, there has been a lot of recovery out of that, and which really makes me believe that I think it could be possible that a lot of buying might be happening, and we will later on. I'll give you a little bit more idea about how POTX and MJ are doing that, and give an idea about how the trading of that is happening. But I think from what we see, there is a cash inflow happening after that huge drop, and buyers are coming in and picking it up. So this is how our fund is performing, about 9.5, about 9+% from the inception of this fund, which is the C3 fund, from 8.1. And before, when we were actually in the incubation process, we actually had about 93% compared to the POTX and MJ. So last week, you might see that MJ and POTX did great, 8% and 16% gain, and we probably did lower. But again, retrading, what our fund does is we're not worried about these changes, like how huge the fluctuation between POTX and MJ is happening, but we are worried about the long-term gain, which you can see that we are actually a lot more ahead than MJ. Even in the last 2 months, we have started this. So that's where we are holding on that. So overall overview, during the incubation process, we were about 94%, and from the go live, which is 8.1, we have about 9.5%. Want to talk a little bit about MJ and POTX and give a little bit of an update, because I'm seeing some unusual activity. Now, POTX and MJ, this is POTX, what you're seeing right now is POTX, and you're seeing the trend going down, but there is some technical aspect of these where the lower lows are matching with the previous lows, and the volume around in the last 2 months of that is making me indicate that it is probably a bullish signal, where it's probably would break off on at this point. Now, and POTX is probably not a good example in general, because the volume is so low that it's hard to predict, but it's very similar. The POTX and MJ are very similar, and here also the lower lows are trying to match to the previous lows. And the other part of that is the volume. You can see in the last 1 month around here is relatively huge as compared to any time the volume has been. The other reason is that it's getting closer to the 50-day moving average, and it might be approaching to break on that as well. Now, One of the things from a fundamental perspective, I'm not sure what the market is anticipating. Are they anticipating Democrats to go or Republican to be get voted? But if any in my view, if any bullish on the if people are bullish on Democrat being elected for president, then probably it might be an indicator that these these funds these POTX and MJ might be rising higher than what they're expecting. And you have more information on that than mine. I have very little information. This is more technical. But from a technical standpoint, there are a bunch of indicators which are mentioning that this stock could go bullish at this point. It's at a critical point, so my intention is to go bullish, but it could turn around, and that's where our stop loss will come into picture. Is that we'll stop the losses, which will be taking that. But from our point, we are going to be bullish on this at this point.
If it breaks out to the upside, is there a percentage increase that you can guess?
So there are two stopping points, and one of the stopping points is this red line which you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the VWAP of volume weighted average price of the lower lows, which is around May and June. So that one is about, I think, $14 or $15. I think this is $15. So I think these two would be the stopping points, the 200-day moving average and the VWAP. I think I would usually use those two as the indicator where I would probably take some profits at that point.
Okay.
So summarizing that, we still, based on the data, we are still reaching back to 535. We're holding three short-term stocks: Hexo, Cron, and Cara. And since inception, we had about 96%, 94 to 96% gain. And the incubation period and from the go live, we have about 9.34% gain. So that's where we stand, and that's all I have for you, Josh, today. Thank you.
Pretty good return. That's not bad. Again, we always look at maybe 15% for the S&P on average, and people loved Bernie Madoff, the Ponzi scheme expert, who only gave 12%, and we got 9 within 2 months legitimately. So again, not a bad return. Great job, Rohit.
Thanks for that.
All right. I want to thank my guest, Rohit Srivastava, Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with C3 Fund. I appreciate the update.
Sure. Thank you so much.
With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.